Hello everybody, welcome to Learn With Us, and today is the first focused episode of Learn Engineering. Today in the show it's David Lofthouse.
Hi.
I have to congratulate you on the grooming. You're putting all us guys to shame here.
Yeah, quick one solved with the comb, it's fine.
Yeah, does it need like any special like oils or anything like that?
Yeah, occasionally I put when I clean it, I put beard oil.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of brill cream, old school brill cream in the hair.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Nothing special. For me, there's nothing special.
So, what made you decide to get into becoming a locksmith?
Well, I was made redundant just over 4 years ago, and after going on to the job centre to sign on and claim benefits, the lady said, you can retrain. So I'm thinking, well, why didn't you tell me this, months ago? So eventually I retrained through the job centre and they paid for the course. So it's something mechanical. I've worked with machinery for the past 28 years. So, that was for me, that's the logic thing. And I've always wanted to work for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's progressionary from that. Swift kick up the butt sort of thing.
Yeah.
The way I was told was any not damage, but anything you do must be repairable by yourself or hidden. So, for example, under a handle. So if you put the handle back on, you can't see there's been anybody working on it.
Yeah.
So the two key things really. I mean, the first thing, most of the guys that I know, they will pick the lock first. If that fails, try a different door. Pick that one. Maybe you've got an easier one on the front door or the back door than your first attempt or your first sort of method of entry.
Mm-hmm.
Next step, windows. You can always you've got to look for the weakest point of getting in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, in a sense, you've got to think like a criminal, as bad as it sounds.
Yeah. If you look at these keys now with they have tracks in the inside of the lock, and then you have the normal keys, and then you have dots as well. There's three things you have to pick at the same time. Why do even people bother trying picking those things?
Like those.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, these are they're a higher security than what you get off the shelf.
Yeah.
You can buy something like this off the shelf, but for me, that's my own key, my own house.
Yeah.
So, it opens my French doors and it opens my front door on one key. So if I want to add to that, if I want to put more padlocks on the garage or the shed, I can get the lock to fit the key.
Yeah.
So in that respect, you're still only carrying one key around with you and not bunches of them.
What happens if you lose the key though?
Yeah, you'd have to change all the locks.
Yeah. Expensive.
I don't lose keys.
Yeah.
Because I flip them to my waist. I don't care if it makes me look like a jailer.
Yeah.
I haven't got that many keys flying around, but
yeah.
I've always got one in my pocket and one on my waist.
Yeah. What do you think about all these movies that talk about the master key, and the guy brings out the key and the master key and he opens the door?
The skeleton keys. I mean, this particular one is, I suppose it could be considered a skeleton key. It's actually for it's an NKS or radar key, and it opens all the disabled toilets throughout the UK.
Right.
So that one key will fit 9,000 toilets.
Doesn't look very hard to pick.
Gonna take a better look.
I can't see because I've got my. Let me just move my photo booth.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lever. Yeah, that is going to be hard to pick. Yeah. Those things are. I watched a YouTube video on 5 levers. I was like, forget that, man.
Yeah, I mean, 3 levers, 2 levers, and there are some 1 levers in, sort of older hardware. But I believe that's a 6 lever. Could be mistaken, but it's definitely a 5 litre, if not. But yeah, they are more difficult to pick than like a Euro cylinder, for example.
The thing is about all these like fancy doors and stuff like that, the thieves are not going to go for the good doors and that are like well secured. They're going to go through the windows or. So what's the point of having a secure door, really?
In the same instance, the window makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's a double glazed unit, it's going to make an almighty bang.
Why does double glazing
Um,
make a bigger bang?
because of the air pressure inside, it's like a vacuum unit. And most, especially the larger panels of glass, they actually, if you push them in the middle, they tend to flex. The hardest point of the UPVC, or the most difficult to break, would be in the centre
Really?
because it moves. It's so if you push, obviously gently if you've got your own, but push on the centre of the glass, you'll see the window buckle.
Yeah.
You've seen it on films like APG or what they call armour plate glass, or plate glass as most people call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they throw things at it, it bounces back.
Yeah.
It's because it's designed with a certain amount of flex.
Yeah, I can
Well,
never quite understand that. As a kid, I used to play football in the park because we didn't really have very good computer games that day. And a few times I kicked the football and hit off the window, and it just bounced off the window.
yeah, yeah. If it was a single glazed unit, it probably smashed
Yeah,
because you haven't got that pressure internally,
yeah,
and the sort of I'm not sure if they're laminated or they're just toughened glass,
yeah,
or they're definitely stronger than the single glazed units.
yeah. Because like that door behind you, like if I was wanting to break into the house, then I wouldn't go for the lot. I'd just smash the glass. But is that glass like hard to break?
Yeah, you'd have to climb the fence as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's flexible. It's glass in a way. If you think about glass, it's a silicate, so it is a stronger sort of form of carbon.
Right.
If you tried to drill glass, as in put a hole in to hang it up, for example, it would actually dull the normal drills, like the metal drills or the hard plate drills. You need a diamond drill to cut through glass.
Okay.
So, in that respect, a normal drill wouldn't drill a hole through glass, it'd just shatter it.
Yeah.
So I think it's the way to put together myself. Or makes the strength. I mean, obviously Craig Brooks, who does the double glazing on LinkedIn, he'd probably know more about the glass side of things.
Yeah. So are you also involved in like security cameras?
No, I don't do CCTV. I'm trying to get into sort of entry systems. So things like your key fobs and access control, that sort of thing. So you'd open a door with a key, and it's a fob. So show it to the reader, and it'll open the door.
Yeah.
I'm looking at trying to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
But I may need to do courses on that one.
Are those more secure than locks?
Not really. They can be used in conjunction with locks.
Right.
For example, the night latch, the Yale type lock, it latches into a key. So when it goes in, it sort of hooks in behind. You can have electronic keeps. So yeah, you close it when you go out, and you can offer a fob so the keep, instead of sort of sitting rigid, so it's quite solid, that falls away and it allows you to push it open.
Yeah.
So it sort of just it relaxes its tension. It works on like piezoelectric retention. You show your fob that electric drops, allows you to push open the door without actually turning the key.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, I'll have to read that again. I'll just get off my head like that to say yeah.
You go to the place and it'll say push to exit.
Yeah.
Generally, it's either a latch, electronic latch, or it's a magnetic lock, maglock.
Mm-hmm.
So you see like a big boxy thing above the door, and it just basically drops the power. The current that feeds it. As soon as that current's off, you can open the door.
Okay, okay. So like I've seen people like they can get into houses with just this like piece of plastic that's sort of white, and they can slot it in the door and it goes behind the corner. Is that really possible?
That's yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, I've done that on countless stores.
Yeah. So these cards, what's going on? How does that exactly go behind the door? If the door's tight on an angle, how does the plastic card, bend around the corner like that and open the door?
It's what it's made out of. Remember the old kitchen work surfaces? You may be too young to remember it, but the old kitchen work surfaces were Formica.
Is that stuff that sort of was quite curved as well?
Yeah, well, it went onto the work surfaces in the kitchen
Right. I'm not
to give
really
it that to give it that glossy finish.
right. Okay. Yeah, I got an idea.
Long before the modern stuff. Well, basically, it was a veneer called Formica.
Yeah.
It's a variety of that, so it has the flexibility to go around the door frames and the architrave, but it has the strength. And you know, if you're not holding it properly, it can actually cut you.
Oh.
But it is quite sharp. So when it's raining and dark, and you know, you could be prone to a few cuts and scratches.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I'm trying. That only works on it in a push sense. So if the door opens inwards and you're outside, it would only work on in that scenario.
Yeah.
If the door opens the other way, you have to find something that fits from the outside towards you. So the pushing wouldn't work. It's not strong enough to pull anything.
Yeah.
So again, that's a different tool, which I'm hopefully getting some from my own design. I'm hopefully getting some made.
Right. Right. So how do you know that your door is generally secure, and secure as in it'll take a thief too much of a time to get it open in relation to risk of being getting caught?
Well, while we're waiting, well, technical difficulties. Um, I got this for this particular one. They have these in the newer homes, so you can unlock and lock it from the inside.
Right.
This is the target for any thief. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's
Yeah, I
like
can see it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the target for every thief. So once a common attack would be called lock snapping. So if it's sticking out too far, they break the lock and it'll break away there. And as that breaks away, this falls off, and then they can use other implements inside to unlock the door.
Right.
So if you've got something like that, it's not very secure.
Hmm.
Um, Same sort of thing as the thumb turn. If it's too close to a letterbox, you know, like you said, what happens if they get things like an old coat hanger, put that in the letterbox and manipulate that thumb turn to unlock the door? So they could be in the house without any damage from the exterior.
An
So,
old
yeah, I
coat
think,
hanger.
yeah, I think a coat, because if you think down, if you put a coat hanger through that, it's only a wire. You know, there's nothing to stop you from moving that round.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the same, you know, we've got different tools to use for that. But in this particular one, again, that lock picking, that's where it comes in, because that itself, that's locked.
Yeah.
Now that won't unlock without picking it.
Yeah.
But I've still got access from inside with this sometime.
So that looks just
So
like.
yeah,
Is that just as
sorry.
easy to open as a Yale lock? Is that just as easy to pick as a Yale?
Yeah, I mean, they've got varying. This is what these are the pins inside.
Yeah.
So basically, imagine a row of pins. So your key shape is up and down. So imagine a row of pins that fit inside those ridges and those valleys. And the purpose of the key is to line them up. So you've got 6 in the line, which will create what they call a shear line. That allows the lock to turn. So if you've got one sticking up, that's not going to go past it. Well, the wrong key, for example, wouldn't work, even if there was one position not cut properly. So imagine, like for example, your key would have these sort of ridges, little triangular ridges, and each one of those either goes around the pin or pushes the pin. Again, that's down to the position, so they're no different. This has got 6 pins. The key I showed you earlier from my house has got 11 pins. It depends. Most of the night latch, the Yale type locks, I've got 5.
Yeah.
So you've got one less pin to defeat.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, they're not as secure as you'd like to think.
And once you can defeat 1 or 2 pins reliably, then to add in that extra 2 pins is not that harder. But as you start adding more pins, then there's more chance of you making a slight mistake. And and when you make a mistake, you have to go all the way back to the start again, which can make it even more frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some where you get more feedback. So the pin if it's rotating, for example, it rotates clockwise, and you start to pick it, and you get one pin that's firm, and as you push the pin down with the pick, it rotates counterclockwise. So that then you've got to allow it to go so far to be able to pick it. But if it goes too far, it'll lock back up and all the other pins bounce back.
Yeah, as soon as you start going counterclockwise, you might as well go back to the start because you've lost it.
No, they counterclockwise. Actually, sometimes it tells you what you need to do.
Right.
So it gives you a feedback of right, you're close, but a little bit more sort of force or a little bit less force.
Yeah.
So it's actually the locks. Not to sound corny, it's telling you what it wants you to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's giving you that. Yeah, it's giving you that sort of sense that you're in the right place, but you need to be either push, firmly or a bit more gently.
Yeah.
So
like, when you're picking a lock, do you actually know if it's the first pin, and can you sort of remember the story of the lock if you have to go back to the start?
No, generally you would start from the back. So you start from the furthest pin, which should be like number 6 or number 5.
Right.
So you start at the furthest away, so the key tip.
Right.
And then you work the way back, and it's finding then which ones move and which ones don't move.
Why would you start from the back? Because the back might not be the closest one that you can lock.
That makes no difference. That makes no difference whatsoever. That's where you start from back, and you work your way forward. For example, you start here.
Yeah.
And you work forward.
Because I thought, like, you've got 5 pins, right? And there's only going to be 1 pin that will lock when you apply the minimum pressure, and then you find the next one, then you find the next one, then you find the next one, which might not be at the back or the front, depending on the construction of the pins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's why you have different shaped picks.
Right.
Because you might have the pick from the back to the front, and then there'll be one that's holding it, pin number 4, for example, but you can't get to it because you've got the wrong shaped pick. So you might have to hook over number 3. So then it's a different contour of the pick profile.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've picked all the rest and they're ready to go, but number 4 you've got to go back for.
Yeah.
You start 6 to 1, and then just go back through 6 to 1. Just keep going back and trying different ones to see which one's going to go next.
Right.
You'll feel a slight movement on the rotation.
So say you're given a brand new Yale lock you've never seen before. What's the chances that you'll pick it first time?
For a Yale 5p, yeah.
First time.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, some if you've done it yourself, you know that if the longer you play with the lock, the more you know where it's going to open.
Yeah.
Because it's a learned. I suppose in a way it's your hand movement, your muscle memory. It's going to know exactly where that pin needs to open, where it needs to be left. So in that respect, you've had a lock for ages. You know where it's going to open. Like the car, it's going to overheat because it's done it before.
So like 5 lever locks, they're I've never actually tried to pick a 5 lever lock before because I watched a few videos on YouTube and I'm like, this is just too much to learn, you know. It's a completely
Yeah,
different
I
world.
mean, it is a different world. I mean, luckily we don't. I mean, I think you've got more in London because of the older buildings and them all. So the wooden doors, big wooden doors, and you get a lot of Banham locks, which again are another sort of high security lock. But the levers themselves, they can be a bit. You know, if you get one wrong, it may have basically it's got like a cutout, so everything slides into the cutout. Above and below it might have a smaller cutout, so it doesn't actually slide all the way back.
Hmm.
They're called anti-pick notches. So obviously, if you lift it too far up and the bolt trying to pull it back goes into that, you've got to start again.
So why are these small Yale type keys more popular than these lever locks in general?
It's just generally easy of carry.
Yeah.
It's easier to carry, you know. And anybody who picks as a hobby or learns to pick as a hobby would tend to use padlocks to start with
Yeah.
because there's very little variation in pressure that you need to turn it and things. You know, most padlocks it's medium to heavy weight. It's only when you get to the high end and more expensive stuff where they put the tricks in the pins, as it were.
Yeah, I started off with this little it's a hollow, it's a plastic, but it's sort of see-through plastic, you know, and that was easy enough to kind of pick. And then I had a real situation where I had to open a door, and I managed to do it. And I had to get a locksmith, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. I know this padlock quite well, so I can sit and talk to you and still pick it up, and
Yeah.
because I can feel it rather than see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people, you know, especially like yourself, somebody who's tried it and thought, oh, yeah, it's kind of a useful skill to have. You're not seeing it without your eyes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think learning on something that's solid as opposed to the clear acrylic would be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to visualize inside it.
Yeah, once it's sort of like a skill. Once actually, it's an audible skill because you're listening to the pins, and you can
Yes.
tell how close you got, and you sort of learn how it goes, and then you can. But I've never tried to pick anything like a lever or anything with like those. I don't know. I mean, how would you pick things with those dots in there and those lines in there? And like, what would you use that?
Yeah, these are basically a standard keyway, vertical keyway. The ones with the dots, as you call it, are like this is a horizontal keyway. And they're what they call a dimple lock. So you've got a standard sort of pinned lock is in pretty much most of them, like the night latch ones. But the dimple locks, they use a slightly different tool. So instead of it being sort of thin and flat, it's more of a pole and with a little flag, so you can sort of pivot, rock it backwards and forwards. So it's effectively you're moving that like this. So this piece will be pushing down on the pins, not that way. They'll be going sideways as opposed to vertical.
Right.
If that makes sense.
But how do you do both at the same time? Like you got things that are that side and that side, so you can't really fit like 3 tools in the tool at the same time to.
No, but that's where your sort of learning comes into it. You know, the more you practice, the more you evolve.
The more you practice.
The more you practice, and the more you learn from that practice.
Yeah, yeah.
You evolve and you begin to. I've got a favourite lock. It's geeky. It's called a Nizeo, so ISEO on the front. And there's two. There's an X-tip which is a dome top. So on this piece, it's like on this plug,
Yeah.
it's like a dome. And then you've got another one that's got beveled edges. Now the beveled edges is 5 pin, and that's one of my favourite ones to pick because it tells you what it wants. So that again, that's a learned response, as it were, to what the lock is telling you. It's the same with everything, you know. You the more you're faced with these problems, I've found, and the few people in the trade probably know it already, I've found ways that I don't need to touch the lock to open the door. In that, I can't obviously tell you that one because that's maybe something that the criminals don't know.
Yeah. Do you
And
think that a lot of criminals have
really,
spent a lot of time learning tricks from locksmiths?
oh, no, no. I think they share that information. Like the lock snapping, for example, has been around, I'd say 20 plus years. And they're still doing it today. So that's not something a locksmith's taught them. That's something they've obviously somebody's done it and gone, right, we can do this and pass it on.
Yeah.
So about everything he's sharing the information.
Yeah. So like if you think of a normal Yale lock, right? If it's basically the mechanical force of the 5 pins that's stopping the torque from opening the lock. But I'm thinking if you manage to like get three pins or three pins up, you've got 2 pins holding. Could you not like whack it with something and break them? Break those
No,
little 2 pins?
no, no. As much as as much as you think you'd like for the internals and the plug for the brass, so try it soft. But then you look at the key, which looks silver or chrome, and that is again the same thing as brass. There are some aluminium type, but again, it's a soft metal.
Mm-hmm.
So something will break before you can actually get it unlocked. Even if it's 1 pin that's out, it's still going to be strong enough not to be able to turn.
What if you welded something to the key, and then once it's cooled down, then you twist it and break it?
They're going to snap your key. Okay. Yeah, you'll snap your key. You're not going to get.
Imagine someone welding a door, big white light.
You probably melt the lock in your game anyway.
Yeah, just melt the lock, man. Who cares?
Yeah, there's quite a trend at the minute for people melting the plastic around the doors. Yeah, well, the UPVC, they melt the plastic so they can get further into the lock to break it.
Right, I see. Yeah.
And that's a variation of lock snapping, but it's relatively new.
Mm-hmm. So, like your windows there, are they like? I mean, stop me if I'm asking too many questions about our house, like, because those windows are those like, is that a decoration or is that like those lines like security things? Like in the room behind the doors there with the.
Oh no, that's just different, yeah.
I used to think they were like.
It's an easy lighting. That's all it is. It's just to make it look nice. It was on when I bought the house 40 years ago. It was on there, so
yeah. You see quite a lot of houses, more in Europe than London, but you see a lot of houses on the first floor that have bars on the windows. And okay, that's good to stop some thieves, but man, if there's a fire, you can't get out the windows. So I don't know the idea of putting bars on the windows.
If you hire on the ground floor, by law you're supposed to have this to unlock your door.
Right.
Or at least like the night latch has got the handle. It's called it's an egress system, so basically you don't need to be looking for keys if there's a fire.
Yeah.
So you can unlock everything with your hands. You're not waiting. Oh, I can't find my keys unlocked in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
By law, you've got to have those fire regulations on the ground floor. If the lock fails, you can't find your key. You've got windows.
Unless the windows have bars on them.
Exactly. Yeah. Angle grinder.
Yeah. A lot of properties in London have these basements, and there's only one exit. And so if there's a fire at the exit, then you're. I don't know how people can live in basements, man, in London. Like all these rented apartments under the ground.
Yeah. Fences and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's being built properly, it should have passed fire regulations. So there must be some other escape way. Excuse me, to pass regulations, or it's being done illicitly. So it's under the radar, and obviously they're not going to have the buildings checked.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Cool. So what's the What's the business like during lockdown for you? Has it been affected anyway?
Yeah, it's been quiet. I mean, there's a variation as such, where people have been locked in. So obviously they're not going anywhere. They
Yeah,
go to the shop, come back, lock the door, and then they can't get back out again.
yeah, yeah,
So, and like you said, with the fire regulations and the fire safety, there's one gentleman, fire lever lock. He locked it and went to get out. It wouldn't unlock. He had a window this big. If there was a fire, there's not even if it was slim, not a chance of getting through it.
yeah,
One entrance and the tiny windows, so it had to be sorted out
yeah,
um, for a health and safety perspective.
yeah. As someone who almost died in a fire, like when I go to a building, I might always check the fire exits to make sure I know what I'm doing because I don't, it sort of stays with you. You like,
Yeah,
what a way to get out of here quick.
yeah,
I couldn't go. I
exactly.
couldn't live in a high rise, man. No way.
No,
I don't care how safe it is.
I'm surprised they don't have a system like they have on planes. No, at a certain height you could roll up your balcony and just slide down with the inflatable slides.
Yeah, why don't just all these new skyscrapers put like an external staircase on the side of the building? You know, like you look at all these new skyscrapers in London, they're just sheets of glass. There's no way to get out except inside of the
Yeah,
building. I mean, why
yeah,
pay a
like
million,
they should have.
£2 million for a flat? You can't get an escape outside of the window.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But I mean, I've always fancied like a fireman's pole.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool, and the fire just straight down.
yeah. But
It's a
difficult to
ball
twenty
pool,
floors
obviously.
though. You got to get strong grip.
You'd have to have a ball pool. Something to stop when you blow at the bottom of a bouncy castle, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you can actually buy parachutes that open up um, within like I think it's like 20 meters. You can have like, imagine if you're in a building and you got guests and you've got the one parachute and you say, okay, I've got the parachute, see you later guys, and you jump out. I mean, what do you do in a situation like that, what?
Well, unless it comes in the family edition, so you can carry like 4 children and your wife. You
Yeah,
know. But yeah, I can't imagine an old dear on a pensioner jumping off the balcony at 88
yeah.
with a parachute strapped to her.
I just think
Um,
people are obsessed with living in cities. Why we've got all this empty space and lands and stuff like that. Why don't we just build more houses outside of the cities and all this?
yeah,
I'm glad that people are leaving London because like we're more space down there to breathe. Like because you don't have to be in
yeah,
the office. There's no point actually paying for this. I feel sorry for people that have bought houses before the pandemic hit, because the reason it's so high is because you have to, basically people went to the office to work, but now it's like it's just that's the old way of thinking now. Like an office, what I need an office for? I might have to, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm lucky in the way that I can work from home because I'm mobile, so I go to people and they don't need to come and see me. But yeah, if as a business and you've got an office, like you say, it puts things in perspective. Do you actually need an office now to
Yeah,
do your job? And companies are going to save a fortune on homework.
yeah,
But then again, the parents, how do you balance that with childcare?
yeah. I think more people are happy to work from home than I think there's been a study. It's like 80 to 90% people are happy with this ongoing remote working from home, and you get a few vocal people on LinkedIn that are saying, "Oh, it's terrible, working from home and all that stuff." I just replying back and say to them, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. I mean,
If
I can sit down and have no work if one day, and then tomorrow I might have 2 or 3 jobs lined up. I might have one booked in and another two just pop up.
Yeah,
So in that respect, I'll give my day not expecting anything. If the job comes, it's a bonus. If it doesn't come, then I'm not going to stress that I'm not working today. I'll just flick on the telly, do something else. A bit of painting.
yeah.
So find something to do.
What are you painting there?
It's just like a dream, something to live in. It's like a little house.
Oh, right,
I've
yeah,
done, I've done a set of like that's mushroom. I've done a pumpkin, and it's made into a little house with a windows and door, and
yeah.
It's childlike painting, but they do different
Yeah.
styles depending on medium.
So talking about art, are you involved in any like? You could probably be good advertisements for like male grooming products or something. You know, like get your face up on those hairdressers.
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, I think there's like a version of you in a local barber in London that almost looks exactly like you. You know that beard.
But it's like you've got the. I think you get to an age when you get quite a lot of doppelgangers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you've got the pepper colour hair and beard, and you could look like somebody else down, 2, 3 miles down the road.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, you used to go to the barber shops, and the hair was all sort of hair dryer blown.
yeah.
It just, yeah, I wouldn't want the same haircut as he had, put it that way.
I seen a picture with you with no beard. You honestly look like 20 years younger. But in this one, you just look like a real macho, like guy, like Thor. You know, like or like the guy who played the Winged King on Flash Gordon. You know, forgot his name now.
Brian Blessed.
Blind Blizzard. Yeah, yeah. I was like, it's a great look. I wish I could pull off that. You know, I really would.
You give it a go. You never know.
I can grow a decent beard though, if I wanted to.
Yeah, I'll say you've got the coloration, so it doesn't look so old.
Yeah.
I'll say it before you do. Um, yeah, and I mean dark hair. I imagine it grows quite quick.
Well, some of it, yeah. The bits that are left.
Yeah, right, it does go patchy, but mine's thin at the sides compared to here. If I wash it, I look like one of them giant cats. But on the sides, it's like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a go.
So how do people get in touch if they want their locks looked at or something, or advertising facial products?
I'm usually I'm pretty much on all social media. Uh, and obviously Google. I've got Google pages. I've got my own web page. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I try and post regular on all of those. And that speaking like this, speaking to people, not in a face to face, but in a text or a message. And that's that connection, building connections.
I need to get new headphones, man. These keep falling out my ears. So
Yeah, over the head,
yeah,
over the
I've got them,
headphones.
but they make your ears sweat. And I'm not. I've got these like huge ones.
Yeah, those. Yeah, it's been a few. It's been a few.
I don't
CDs
want
like
to put
that.
I don't want to put them on now because I'll probably it takes me so long to set up the audio to do these podcasts. It's like you take it out in GarageBand, it'll freeze, or like this mic will complain, and the audio will start coming out of the mic and all this stuff. And it's just... Okay, well, that's been an interesting time.
Yeah, I think some of the things you probably won't uh, not understand as such, but you won't see where I'm trying to explain stuff because I'm not very good at explaining stuff. Put me in front of something, I can explain it and show demonstration more of a practical sense.
Yeah.
Whereas a theory of picking locks, I think I'd need diagrams.
How much more innovation do you think companies can do with that mechanical locks? Like, what else can they do next?
Yeah, I mean there are some sort of next level. The reinforced the centres, which obviously that's lock snapping, which is quite a few locks out there that are made like this. We call them trap pins. So even if you pick it, it'll only go so far, and then it'll lock up again. So you've got to pick those, and then round again, it'll lock up again. So it's going to take time and patience. And you're not going to snap those types of locks because if you did, you're still not getting in. So you're going down the destructive route or the drill route, and you're just wasting time and expense for the customers. So they have evolved somewhat. I do believe that there are further things they can do. I mean, there's guys who do it as a hobby, and they're really good as they're mainly United. A lot of them are United, so they come home, dead job. They come home and they'll sit and pick locks because it gives them something to focus on and something different from the workplace.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Actually, when I
so
when I do a physical job or some woodwork or whatever, sawing something, it actually feels really
yeah,
really good because like all I do is sit and look
yeah.
at code all day long, you know.
Well, exactly. I mean, imagine like, I used to work in the print industry, so I'd go to work for 12 hours and I'd be doing the same job, so I could do the job relatively easy, and then I get mentally bored while I'm doing the job. Um, so I got to a point a fair few years ago. I was raising pigs. So I had 3 pigs in the garden. So I'd tend to those, go to work, come back, tend to them again,
So you said
and that break. Go on.
so you're a printer. You said
I was a print finisher, book binder.
right. Okay, okay.
So I finished. So for example, it gets printed, and it goes through a machine which puts the glue on the cover and everything.
Yeah,
So that was my job, set up the glue machine, as it were.
yeah.
So mechanically, again, it's something that I'm more of a hands-on, practical. I can't sit. I like gadgets in geekery, as it were. But
Geekery.
I can't imagine. Yeah, geekery. It's a new word. I can't imagine myself being sat at a desk for 8 hours typing.
What about 14 hours?
No, 2 hours tops.
Yeah. Well, I do between 13 and 14 hours a day on a computer, but I'll space that out with like walks and exercise, eating,
Yeah,
socializing. You know.
yeah. I think it's just, to some extent, I think too much. That all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah.
It's true to some extent. You've got to have some life above. 14 hours a day work, 8 hours sleep. So that only leaves you a few hours
Yeah,
to
that's a little
enjoy
bit more
it.
the extreme end. Probably on average, it's 12 or 11 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, if you take into account your eating, so you sit down, relax, have a meal, you know, ballpark of an hour per meal, just to sit and relax and
An
chill.
hour a meal,
Yeah, yeah, ballpark. I'm, I'm,
5 minutes,
I'm,
mate, for me something.
that's a snack. Yeah, if you sort of obviously take your time, well, say 2 hours, for example. So that's 14 hours of your day taken up already. And then you put in things like going to get a drink, toilet breaks, you know, and a little bit of you time going for a walk and keeping yourself healthy. Then you pretty much, what have you got left apart from sleep time?
Yeah, not a lot.
Exactly. I'm a keen advocate of afternoon naps.
Actually, power
Because
naps are very good, but you can't take them too
yeah,
longer. If it goes past
no,
10 or 15 minutes, you start to, yeah, well, what is this
no.
variable in JavaScript? You know, like
According to my app, my health app, it says no more than 30 minutes.
30
Any more
minutes.
than 30 minutes, yeah,
30
any
or
more than 30
13?
minutes, 30,
13,
just
okay.
30, yeah, Yorkshire. If you go past that, it avoids the optimization of the nap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
But
that's the
I
one that's
mean,
annoying about being in the office. Like, you can't take a nap anywhere. It's like you got to just be up for like 8 hours, and then the last 2 hours are just like wanting to go home.
jump out of the nearest window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in I don't know if it's Japan where you do it. You've got a sleep pod, so when it comes to a break time, you can go have a nap for
Fantastic
40
idea.
minutes. It actually is proven to increase production.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a well. Eventually, I'd like to have. Well, might have office space if that company's grow and stuff. I will sure have a sleep pod in my office, you know, because especially for coders, you know, because I know as a coder myself for 10 years that after about 6 hours, I can if I'm in a zone right, I can get enough code done in 3 hours as it would normally maybe take me 3 days if I'm in a zone. There's something about it, and if I have employees that are coders, I want them to have as much time. I would rather have them 3 hours or 2 hours in the zone and have the rest of the day off than sit for 8 hours just producing mediocre code. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think there's a company. I think it's a London-based company, an advertising company, and they said to the manager, we're going to put a timeout like pod, so you can go in and play out like chill out music and there's cushions. It's like a little teepee. So in the office space, if anybody goes into that pod, you can't disturb them. So they would go in for 30 minutes and just relax,
yeah,
read a book, listen to music, whatever they wanted to do.
yeah,
And it increased production by about 30%.
yeah.
So, statistically and financially, it's better for a company to do that.
Yeah, I love when Elon Musk says, if you're in a meeting and it's not making any benefit for you or the team, just leave. Yeah, I mean the amount of meetings that are wasted, unbelievable. Just to pay
Yeah.
people's salaries to sit there and tick a box that they've done the meeting. It's
Or the waffle.
yeah,
Yeah, we used to have regular toolbox talks. So, for example, there's a new health and safety legislation or guideline we've got to follow, and you'd be there for half an hour listening to it, and it'd mean nothing to you. As long as you sign the paper at the end, that's all they were concerned about. Yeah, like you said, box ticking.
cool. Well, anything you want to come up to there here? Anything you want to share with the audience, David, about locks and your future work planning?
Uh, not really. I mean, I'm nothing in the pipeline as such. But other than training to do other sectors of the same job, as it were, other sections of the same sector.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm pretty much happy plodding along, keep the work coming. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave a link to your LinkedIn profile, David, and people can go and check out your excellent videos on the locks, and just you bring passion and excitement and men's grooming to the world of locksmithing.
And bearding.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything if you want to learn how to do it on a personal level, just give me a shout and I'll try to talk you through things, and
Yeah.
because it's an invaluable skill for anybody to learn.
Yeah.
Imagine being kidnapped. How are you going to get out of your handcuffs?
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit cool. Like people, like spy. Kind of like, I can pick this lock, and people think, "Whoa, you can pick the lock." Like,
But just quickly there, I mean, I went to a customer, I changed one of the locks, and I had problems, so I went back and sorted it out. And he said, "I've got to wait for the boss to come. I haven't got a key to lock up." So I said, "Look, I'll lock it, and then I'll drop you home because it's not far." So he's like, "Well, can you lock it?" Well, if I can unlock it, then I can lock it.
right. I see.
So it's like that thing, like you say, with the espionage, the secret agent, as it were.
Yeah.
You can get in and get out, and nobody know you've been. And in that respect, it's like, where's my tuxedo?
Because if you didn't actually study how a lock works, you'd be surprised how complicated it is. It's a very clever invention.
It's actually around. It was invented by the Egyptians. So basically, it was like a pin tumbler with the pin fitment, as it were. But it was like bars on a wooden piece. So they put the hand through and slot the wooden things in to be able to open the door.
Right.
So it's been around for 2,000 plus years as a locking mechanism. Locksmith derives from blacksmith because they used to make all the locks wooden and wrought iron, cast iron, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it all stemmed from the locksmith, stemmed from blacksmith. So it's one cast develops another cast.
I mean, the whole idea of this pin and tumbler system, if I didn't know what a lock was, and I was given a blank slate and told me you need to secure this door. What would you do? I would probably think, come up with some like big steering wheel that weighs like only I can lift up because I'm strong, and then it's maybe a big square that fits in there, and you have to turn out all this stuff, and like you can open door by strength or something like. But I wouldn't think to make up this little tumbler with like springs at different heights and all this stuff, and then some metal thing. It's very clever. Good done, Egyptians.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine you creating the submarine door on your flat. So yeah, I mean, in that respect, it's clever, but in the same throw of a stone, as it were, that the insurance criteria for UPVC is a minimum of 3 locking points. They don't actually mention the lock,
Yeah.
and that's the weak link. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I've always been amazed at like if you're thinking about a force that's used to turn the key and how many mechanical points are actually moved on those PVC doors. It's very well lubricated or like very well balanced mechanics to do that.
Yeah, I mean, your control point is where the handle is. So when you lift the handle up or push the handle down, it works on like a push rod system.
Oh, so it's not the key that does that then, right? Ah, that's
There are some systems called the key wind, and it's like a little geared internal. So when you turn the key, things come out gradually.
right.
Whereas the ones where you lift the handle, they all come out together because they work on a push rod from a central gearbox.
Right, I see.
So the key will lock the gearbox in position. That's all the key does. So that's why I say with lock snapping, you take that out of the equation, you can get to everything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Oh well, okay, David, that's been great. Thanks for being the first official Learn Engineering on my Learn With Us podcast. You know, like.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been we got there eventually, but it's been quite funny.
Yeah. Cool. We'll get this on LinkedIn and be in touch.
Yeah. Well, say anytime you want to chat, just give me a shout.
Okay, Dave.
Right.
Okay, everybody,
So
that was
now-
David Lofthouse and the locksmith you need if you live in. Where's you live again?
Leeds.
Leeds. Okay. Until next time. See you later. Bye bye.